Hello, everyone, on this nice 105-degree day.
105? It's like 65, 70 here. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but you live up north. We don't count you.
Understandable.
Hey, everybody, how you doing? All right. Well, Bill Thomas is here. Ron Belch is here. And now I'm going to try to produce that one. Richard Carr. How's everybody doing? Well, we haven't done a show in a while because we always promise not to do shows unless we have something supposedly important to say, or interesting at least. We're going to talk about, give you guys an update on where we are with all the projects, okay, as well as pretty much discuss the solo system, and I guess what has been kind of changed in our, structure of doing things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off first with Point Blank. I don't know if you guys have been watching The War Room or watching Kurt Pfan with his updates on Point Blank. We gave him one of our review copies. Tony's here. Hey, Tony, how you doing? I believe Tony is going to get beat by his daughter sometime in the near future with Point Blank. So let's go with the Point Blank, since that's the thing we can get on to the most. And I'm going to let this basically do my talking. The game is done, guys. Okay, done as in it's printed, it's on pallets, it's now waiting for the ever famous Chinese, shipping at this point. I'm really happy with how it was handled. I think they did a really good job making sure that everything was done the way we wanted. But here's a video of the last bit of the production. All right, and anyway, there you go, guys. We got some people hopping on here. Let's see. Huge box. Yes, it's a 3-inch box, and I got it right behind me here, and it is basically 10 pounds, guys. Okay, I'm not going to go over what's in the box because we've kind of done that, and there's videos on our YouTube channels and they're on the Facebook pages. But it is full of goodness, you guys. I think it's 800 plus cards, Dev, right?
800 plus with all the cards, with the big poker size cards, the small support weapon cards. Yeah, it's a massive amount of card goodness.
All right, so does anyone have any questions about Point Blank? Because if not, I'm going to move us along. There is a tabletop simulator module. I don't believe it's live yet. I think we're waiting for the game to actually be released. Or is it live?
No, it's live. It's live.
It's live. It's live.
We've got one scenario in it, and of course, with our rule book that we give for free, you can jump right in, try the first scenario out until you get your own copies in. But yeah, it's live already.
All right, Charles String, someone's asking about. Just so I can say I covered this. It's still in the production, guys. I mean, I know we take a time, but we get it wrong. You guys are quite, vicious.
Vocal.
Vocal is another word for vicious. Okay, so it's. I'm not going to see it. I'm not going to see it this year, but we're taking our time with it. We just are. Okay, the rules. We've rewritten the rules twice. I'm not even sure I'm really 100% happy with the way it is now. I'm happy with the map. I'm happy with the counters. Play rates I'm really happy with. It's just the scenarios and all that. And the scenarios have been done. I just it takes time for us to go through check-in. We have JU Stuka Ace, which is pretty much in its what's done, except it's going through one last editorial check from Hans, right?
Yep, Hans has got his hands on everything. He's doing his wonderful, normal job of editing that he does for us and what he provides to the wargaming world in general. We do have a couple more counters that we need to make up and stick on, but that's minor. We know what the counters are we need to make, and we're just waiting for Blackwell to finish those off. But yeah, other than that, the game is pretty much already done. I've play tested it a lot. I really enjoy it. First time I was ever playing it. First time decided I was going to do it. When you're doing the dive with the dive bombers, you can choose at what level to drop the bomb. I figured, well, I'll just dive right down and drop it at the lowest possible, the last possible second, forgetting that I was not an experienced pilot and didn't have the modifiers to really drop it so low, and managed to drop the bombs, missed the target, and got shot down as I was pulling up and crashed. Yeah, my first mission, Poland, 1939.
Which is
So
the bright side. It was a short war for you.
it was a very short war for me. So, but yeah, no, the game is really good, really fun. I'm enjoying it. The campaign system that Guitardo has come up with, where the game is a card-based system, and as you gain experience and become a better pilot, you get put in charge of more aircraft. I mean, you're still basically flying your aircraft, but you start off as a wingman for somebody, and then you get promoted and you become the lead, and you have a wingman with you. Then you get put in charge of a squadron, and then a staffel. So as you're going up, you're continually cycling out these cards as you're getting promoted, which is your action cards. And you can also buy better versions of these cards with experience that you gain during the game. So that's kind of how the experience system works. You gain experience and you gain rank, but you can also spend points on upgrading your actual action cards. This will make it easier for you to bomb. You can pull up easier. Your machine guns get better, and you've got experience or you've got skills that you can buy that will, okay, so like your gunner that's sitting right behind you, he gets better with the machine gun. It's just, there's a whole wealth of stuff in here. If you look at it, it doesn't look like, this doesn't look like it's going to be very fun, because get into the game, start playing the game, and realize that as you're continually always modifying your deck, if you're a deck builder, if you like deck building games, if you like card games, this game is going to be great for you. I mean, and literally you can get a mission done from setup to done in like 5 or 10 minutes. So you can do an entire campaign, like the entire Polish campaign in, less than an hour. So yeah, it's just, from what I've seen, what I've played with it, it's just beautiful and phenomenal. So.
Someone's asking what game we're talking about. It's called JU-87 Stuka Ace. I've got that right?
Yep.
Okay. It's basically done. We haven't decided if it will be a Kickstarter or a Game Found, but it's going to be, this one would be printed through Blue Panther. Steve and I have been friends for quite some time, and he was moving. We had the pandemic and everything else going on. So this is the first time we think we're going to be able to link up to do a project today, but we're looking forward to it. Okay. So your point blank. Oh, we will. I'm expecting, I'm not promising. So if someone calls me, I'm going to go back to this video. That once the thing ships, which should be, I'm going to say within the next 5 days, we made some real special arrangements for the shipping. We'll see how well it actually pans out. I'm going to say there's a good chance that you could have this in your hands within the next 60 days. And I tell you, the guy says, I promise that, I'm going to come and get you. I'm going to cancel your order. Okay. But, okay, they're basically, we're thinking 60 days, you could have very well have the point blank in your hands. Okay. So just to be clear on that. Someone asked me about Heroes of Grenada. Ralph Ferrari is just testing the last of the scenarios and we need to give one last pass on the counters, which we have all the counters made. We just want to make sure that the right amounts are there. But everything else, we're pretty much good to go. What we're going to show you today in Heroes of the Bitter Harvest, as far as how we're styling the game now, what our plans are, we'll follow over into Heroes of Grenada. Okay. What else? I answered Trial of Strength. What else do we have there, Dev?
That's all for questions we've had so far.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Here's another one. World at War 85. Okay.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Blood and Fury, guys. Okay, so let me just turn on this banner now to save myself. Well, let me just say this. I believe if it hasn't turned off yet, it is going to turn off any moment now within the next couple hours to a day or so for taking late pledges. Okay, any late pledges after this will be more money. It'll be just a regular pre-order. It won't be the discount. It will come with everything that you've seen the videos, etc. There's nothing secret that you're not going to get, but that's what we're doing. We did order, I'm going to say this again, limited quantities. We don't want to keep, one of the things we're doing to fight back on the costs that we're now entailing, and it's quite a bit of an increase, guys, is warehouse space. So basically what we're doing is we're ordering just a few hundred, if that, over what the pre-orders are. Okay, and a lot of dealers have picked them up, etc. So there's not that many left. Okay, so you can't say they didn't warn you. Okay. Okay, World 85. Keith and all of them are working very hard. The Kickstarter page is still
GameFound.
What?
GameFound.
Sorry, GameFound page. Thank you. My bad. And this is why you don't let me do the shows alone.
I learned that a long time ago.
Okay. This is the page for now. It's a draft copy on GameFound, which means, what does that mean? It means that it may change by the time we launch it, with either some of the items may not be 100% yet. We're just waiting on GameFound to give us a thumbs up. Okay, it should not be much longer. They found one or two things they'd like us to address. We've already addressed them, so it's really, we're just waiting. Oh, on Heroes of the Bitter Harvest, people have asked us about late pledges. Also, we're waiting on GameFound just to turn it on. That has already been approved. We're not sure why it hasn't been turned on yet, but we know it's coming and it's set up and ready to go.
And some people have asked us why we made the switch from Kickstarter to GameFound. Basically, GameFound is just, it's easier on us on the back end. A lot of the stuff you don't see, the behind the scenes stuff, GameFound is just more conducive to game companies. Kickstarter was a pain in the tushkas to deal with. A lot of extra hoops we had to go through. So basically we went with GameFound just because it's easier on us, on our side of things, to set up a GameFound than it was for Kickstarter. So I know some people have asked why we've shifted from Kickstarter to GameFound.
It's also a lot more efficient. They cover, as the things move along from draft to campaign to back end to finalization, it's all under one roof. It's not that they do it all. We still have to pick and pack it and ship it and everything else, but it's much easier. It's a much cleaner process, and it lets us go a lot easier on it. All right, so World at War 85, guys. Again, expected any day now. It's going to have a base game. Some of the changes that we're doing, there is going to be very minor stretch goals. And what I mean by that, in my opinion, these stretch goals will not be many, maybe one or two, and they will not be something like, hey, you're going to get an extra scenario, or we're going to give you the solitaire. All of these games, everything is inclusive in the game. Solitaire's in the game, the battle generator is in the game, all the maps are in the game. The only exception to this rule is there's an expansion called Operation Red Gauntlet, which, if you notice, might sound like a lot from a tactical game called Red Gauntlet. There's not really a correlation, but the modern day game was originally based off of World War for a tactical flavor. That expansion has 9 maps and 4 scenarios, mostly big scenarios. Okay, and there's even one monster scenario. It's got 8 maps, and it requires that you do own Stone in the Gap. We do say that on the instructions. We do say that on the page. It's just something that you can use all the counters if you have it.
Oh yeah, this isn't just a monster scenario. It's a kaiju scenario. This is like comparing Frankenstein to Godzilla. I mean, that's the size of this scenario that Jeff has been working on.
Would you say it's our Kobayashi Maru?
It may end up being our Kobayashi Maru without us hacking into it and cheating the system. But it is.
Now we do plan to have Keith on the show, and him and some of his team will come on, probably Jeff Schulte, maybe Nicholas, and talk about some of the changes. You're not gonna have to throw away your game or anything else. The rules will be released, the new revision, on the day of the Kickstarter. We plan to release it then. It's going to be a free download. You don't have to buy anything. Things that are modified or changed, which are pretty minor, will be in blue as always. Okay. Keith, assuming he's still talking to me after the workload he's had this weekend so far. He's been a very busy man. So if he's not answering your texts or his Facebook page, that's why, guys. Okay, so there we go with that. Guys, hey, I see you guys all on here. You guys got some questions? I'm great to have Ron with us. Ron, he's posted had cancer surgery, and it all seems to be going pretty well. And we'd like to thank God for that, and nice to have you there. I know Kurt has had surgery with its lymph nodes? If I'm not
lymph nodes, yeah.
And we're praying for him too, and we wish him good health. Again, check out his page, The War Room. Great bunch of guys over there. Well, actually, some good news. Okay, on top of that, Wayne Hansen, I don't remember what his page is called, but he runs a nice review site, talks about different subjects. He's had a son that was in, I guess, was it ICU or the equivalent of it?
NICU, yeah.
For like 4 months. And, thank God he just came home. And if you guys go to his page, just let him know that, hey, we're glad to hear the news as well. Okay, Ron says he's cancer-free. There you go, Ron. All right, guys, you have any questions before we go into the next thing? I really think they wait until we're old.
They want to hit us all at once, so they completely throw us off.
All right. Okay, so there's no additional comments I'm going to go on with right now. Well, I guess.
Oh, there was one. We had just one come across for anything new for Tactical Digital coming up. Yes.
The next game for Lockwood Tactical Digital will be Day of Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What does that take place again?
That's Mogadishu. Yeah.
Okay. Tom's in the process of doing that, and
Tom's in the process of doing a lot of things right now.
Yeah, he put in the new changes for those who don't know, Lockwood Tactical. It's still version 5.1, and I'm going to say this, which I'll probably regret later. We make living rules, guys, so we can correct typos, adding better clarifications. We're not trying to screw your ink production on your printer. Okay. It really is more that, we get a few, we save them up, and after we get a few, and we turn around and, we put them in the book. There was 2, I'm going to say, rule adjustments. It wasn't changes. It was stuff that we kind of got, put it bluntly, ass backwards. Okay.
Yeah, that's a polite way of saying how we did it.
Remember what they were?
Well, the first thing was how the ordinance worked between being buttoned and being unbuttoned. So if you were buttoned, you would what was it? You would take a penalty. But now if you're unbuttoned, you don't take that penalty. I think that, to be honest, I don't really remember exactly what it was. I always have to look at the cards like, am I buttoned or unbuttoned? Okay, what's my modifier? Okay, that's my modifier. It falls more in line with being the same hit modifiers that a tank in a certain position, be it unbuttoned or unbuttoned, I can't remember off the top of my head, and a field piece like an anti-tank gun or something like that on the fields, because technically anti-tank guns can never button up. So they were penalized for being in a certain state, whereas the tank wasn't penalized. I think it was, you used to get a +1 if you weren't buttoned. That's what it was. You would get a +1 to hit if the tank wasn't buttoned, but the anti-tank gun didn't get that bonus. So now if you're buttoned up, the tank gets a -1, whereas both the unbuttoned and the anti-tank gun both have the same modifiers now, which is nothing. So yeah, it used to be a +1 if you were unbuttoned. Now it's a -1 if you're buttoned. Have I got that right? I think I've got that right.
Well,
and there's Wayne right there.
If you're on our Facebook channel for Lucknow Tactical, the actual person who knows the rules really well, Stefan, he actually explained it out what it was. The other rule was, it was something that just bugged us, and we kind of thought we should change it. Was if you have, I'm probably picking the wrong machine gun, but if you have a certain support weapon, if you were with a squad, which is technically should be 12 guys, give or take a guy, you could not dismantle or mantle that gun and move. You had to do it only in the rally phase. But if you had the weapons team, which is usually only 2 or 3 guys, maybe 4 if you were lucky, okay, they could move with the same weapon. So what we simply did was, I believe the rule is you take half the squad's moving factor, rounded down, and you can then move and basically kind of like mounting and dismounting off of the vehicle.
Yeah, it's basically for assembling and disassembling the tripod mounted machine guns. It used to be so, like for the American 30 caliber, and I referenced this a lot when we were politely discussing this rule change. Let's put it that way. The 30 caliber machine gun as a support weapon, once you put it in the tripod, the squad can't move it at all. Yet the M2 heavy barrel 50 caliber weapon team with 3 guys still has 2 movement points. So why is the 30 caliber, which is about 60 pounds and have 12 guys around it, can't be moved when it's deployed? Yet a weapon team, the M2, 120 pounds plus, could be moved with 3 guys. So that was one of the, so basically tripod mount weapons, you can move them now. It's just and we're giving you the ability to break them down in the turn rather than during just the rally phase, because I always forget to do it in the rally phase. So.
Yeah, that was the other thing, and I believe Tom has already made those changes to the digital game. Now, I'm just going to go back and answer a few of these questions so I can make sure I got everything here. Okay. Hey, Tony, I know you said you're going to play. I don't know if you're playing live or not. If you tell us, we can make an announcement of where guys are going to play, and we can let people know they can go watch that. Hey, Michael, good evening to you. Okay, and if I'm not saying hello to somebody, don't take it personally. It's just that this thing scrolls like a ticket from stock market days.
Yep, right on by, and we sometimes miss you.
Who did the TTS module for this? I'm going to assume you're talking about Bill point blank. If I'm not, it's still probably the same person. It's going to be Uwe. Now I'm thinking about it. Belch is his last name?
Uwe Beck. Yeah, he has done all of our TTS modules for the last couple years. There are some other Lock and Load Publishing modules out there unofficially that other people have done, but any official module, Uwe's our guy.
I think we took those all down.
Yeah, I think we did too. But at one point there was Heroes of the Faith was floating around up there on TTS, and I know we took that down. But yeah, it's Uwe Beck. His call sign on Steam is Richthofen56. So.
Okay. Ron said late pledge going to happen. Yes. Bitter Harvest will have a late pledge. There's 2 expansions for it. Well, let me explain this to you guys real quick. There's one expansion for it called Enemy at the Gates, which if you're ever old enough to have played Tactical when it came out, all of us bit our teeth on Squad Leader. And of course, yeah, it was all the Stalingrad battles. And so we basically made our own version of that. Okay. Plus, there's just additional scenarios. But if you played the first 3 scenarios in Squad Leader, which I think everyone has almost, you will see, hey, this looks very similar, and it is. It was done deliberately, guys, to bring kind of that nostalgia feel back with a little sniffle here from playing. Okay, so Enemy at the Gates is an expansion for Heroes of the Bitter Harvest, which there will be late back a kit. It will not be long. I'm going to say this now, probably get myself caught somewhere. I don't want to get kicked in. but the artwork, the graphics, and everything is already at the printers. Okay, we're trying a new way. We're rotating our game production to speed a lot of it up. It's already been double checked, and all goes well. I'm going to say within 30 days, give or take a moment, you should see prototypes here and videos of the actual Heroes of the Bitter Harvest, Enemy at the Gates, and there's Valor the 13th. Now, we did post it, but you guys don't seem to read very well sometimes. On Valor the 13th, it is not an expansion for Heroes of the Bitter Harvest. It was an expansion for Heroes of the Motherland. And the reason we put it up there was we had people that asked us to do that because there's counters and stuff. And then you can all put it, since it comes in a Ziploc bag, to go in the box of Heroes of the Motherland. It would be a lot easier just to order it once, and it really doesn't change the shipping. Okay, and shipping is becoming a big issue for everybody. So that's why we did it. It does say it's an expansion for Heroes of the Motherland. We do have copies of Heroes of the Motherland. If you do not have it and you want to get it, it's available right now. So, Heroes of the Bitter Harvest, its expansion is Enemy at the Gates, and then there's another expansion called Valor the 13th, which is an expansion for Heroes of the Motherland. All of those will be available as soon as GameFound turns on our late pledge. But again, it won't be long.
Now, to confuse you even more, why did we throw in Valor the 13th along with the Heroes of the Bitter Harvest back GameFound? Because we took our new solo system that is available in Bitter Harvest and Enemy at the Gates, and also included that in Valor of the 13th. Well, what does that mean? We're going to be getting to that relatively soon.
Yes, okay. That is true. We'll get to that in a moment. So no, it is not too late. It just has to be wait till they turn it on. Okay, so it's coming, and we will make an announcement of that too.
We were expecting it to happen last week. It didn't happen. We're hoping it'll happen this week. I mean, it's all in GameFound hands. I mean, literally everything has been given to them. They've even given us the approval. They just need to flick the switch. Why they haven't done it yet, we're not sure.
I have to say they've been very active communicating with us. I just think it's, and they are just not, once Kickstarter looks at it and, my personal opinion is they're not really watching anything. They just hit the switch. And that caused us problems during the Point Blank Kickstarter, for those who remember that. We have wanted to give away these two, one American, one German bus that was hand-painted by Brett. I forget his last name. I think it's Evans.
I can't remember his last name now.
We're going to do something with that still. I just have to talk to Brett. But apparently that was against the rules, even though they approved it, and it caused us a whole big problem during the campaign. So these guys go through everything, and they have found things, and we've corrected them, and I've been very happy with that. So it's a little slower, but it's more efficient. Okay, now Jay wants to know, is there any chance for an add-on for Storming the Gap? I assume you're talking about, Jay. I'm probably going to say we did, and I think there's a banner here. So if you hold on, I will turn this on for you. There's just so many things to catch on here. Give me 1 second, guys. There's like 10,000 little links here. Oh, here it is. Holy cow. There you go. Okay. Nicholas has made a scenario add-on for World at War, Storming the Gap, called Sky Soldiers. Okay. And it is a free scenario that you can download to play. I won't really say it's an expansion. I'm not going to say we won't be doing the expansions, but Nicholas and Keith, we've given them pretty tight production timelines for the third and fourth game. What's the Paris game called?
We Shall Hold.
We Shall Hold. I think we shall hold. And then the next one is America Breached.
Yep.
Which I'm not sure what order they're going to come out.
I think it's going. I know people want America Breached first, but I have a feeling We Shall Hold because it's further along in the production. Because it was intended to come out at the same time Blood and Bridges. It was supposed to be an expansion for Blood and Bridges, but it just got too big. So production wise, We Shall Hold is further along than America Breached is.
Okay. So yes, I think that's right. But again, None of this is official until we say so. Okay, now, I'm on the air. What's up, buddy? Okay. All right, guys, that's my youngest son there. Many of you may remember he was 5 and 6 at the shows all the time. But I have to say, it breaks my heart, but he's working.
Woo! That means he's going to move out soon, right?
Yeah,
You better get the first two out first.
yeah, he's gonna get the first one up right here. Have a good day. All right, and then
Herschel was asking about Nations Award. Oh yeah, the Compass was.
cut the line there, buddy.
That wasn't a question. That's
I
just
know,
praise to us, and I know why you want to get it up there.
Because he's happy. That's
He's
whatever. Yes, just so you know, guys, if you want any of our manuals, I'm not saying all of them are there. You will find it is HTTP, just library.lnlpublishing.com, and you can download, read them online whenever they're updated. They're all put there. Okay, Herschel wants to know about. Okay, Tom is programming Nations at War. It will have a lot of the features that you're seeing in Lock and Load Tactical. I think, I'm not going to say when because Tom will beat me, but I know we should have some type of screenshots of video pretty soon. He's moving at a really good click, actually, a lot better than I thought he would be. So yes, so it's coming, Herschel, and that will solve all the problems we've had with Nations at War, and it will also moving forward, but behind Nations at War will come first because those guys have been waiting the longest. World at War 85 will be there too, guys. Okay, so if you like the style and how Lock and Load Tactical is done digital, and you like the new Nations at War, you will probably like the World at War as well. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think he's asking, is it out of stock on the store? It shouldn't be. We still have copies.
Yeah, I'll take a peek at that before the show is done.
Well, I'll go check right now. So it may take me a little bit. So,
okay. So Devin's checking that. And the next Kickstarter after World at War will be Glory and Empire. Okay. First Victories, that on the production schedule, again, is all done minus maybe a few little things that we have to lay out for the printer. But that, I'm pretty excited about that one, actually. It's Devin's got to play it more than once, I believe. And as that gets closer to our production schedule, again, it should go into GameFound, and within a very short period of time, already have a prototype from from our printers and moving ahead. Okay, we shall hold the Belgium. Now, I kind of think that's not the name either. I think we're mixing them up, but.
Oh, our store is showing that we are out of stock on Heroes of Motherland.
Okay, a lot of people could have been buying it because of the add-on. I will have. Just, you know what? I'm going to write to Darren right now. Darren's not at the warehouse now, but I'm going to write to him and ask him to verify whether or not we're out of stock.
Yeah, because the Dark July's out of stock.
Dark July has been. That I can confirm that it's been out of stock for a while.
Yeah, we've been out of stock of that one for a while. So yeah, we're gonna have Darren take a look at that.
Okay, doing that now.
No, yeah, that's right. It's not so much. Okay, so We Shall Hold isn't just the French forces. It's the Netherlands, the Belgians, and all that. And the title, We Shall Hold, is what the Belgians, I think it's the military national motto is We Shall Hold. That's why that is called, why it's called We Shall Hold. So the We Shall Hold just isn't just the French expansion. It's French, Belgians, Denmark, Lowlands, the minor countries there right along the border.
I'm having breakfast with Darren tomorrow morning.
Ah, cool.
Okay. Nuso, can O1 be updated? No, the O1 cannot be updated. We will explain why as we go into the stage. It's not that the O1 is wrong or broken. Let me just make this clear now, because you brought it up, Starman. My goal for the original LNLT Solo was so it would work with every single game. You can use it going forward too. I mean, you don't have to use a new one if you don't like it for some reason, but it'll work with every game, even the original first Forgotten Battles or whatever it was called, Vietnam game. It'll work with any of them, and that was the whole object of it. The reason we updated was we wanted to give the commanders and the card deck a little bit more flavor. I'm going to use that, where you can get someone who's more aggressive, less aggressive. We also wanted to, there were some things we wanted to do, such as, we have events. You get the event chips about line of sight, or if you occupy something. And those things are limited to the game, where with the cards, we could actually call an event or part of a story, whether it be blowing a bridge or discovering something that you didn't know, to add to the mission that's not even in the book, let's say. It's part of this card. It lets you add something to the solo play. So we'll get into that more. The tables have been expanded. We did release expanded tables or play rate cards, Fort, the original Lock and Load Tactical System, which is a free download. Again, there's no charging for it. And but now what we're going to do going forward is the solo game, what we call now the solo assistant, will be in each Lock and Load Tactical game going forward. And if we reprint a game, just pick on Heroes of
Normandy.
Yeah, we will go back and we will add solitaire setups, but we'll get to that in a minute. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Okay, that link is not working, guys.
Yeah, Manatee mentioned a couple posts down what the fix needed to be is.
What is? Oh, he did mention. Okay. Oh, you know what it is? It's I can't change that. I don't think in the stupid.
Not in the banner as it's running now. Yeah.
Okay.
We should probably take it down.
No, I will in 1 second, and then. Yes. Hey Tim. On our store, there is a notification page for pre-orders or for different projects. And what you can do is you can click on that to be notified when it's available. Okay. The beauty of that is it lets us see what the interest is. We don't want to go make a game and find out 5 of you really. Okay. So it gives us a way to judge. It doesn't mean you don't have to put a credit card down. You're not buying anything. It gives us a way to let you know it's coming and what we're going to do. Okay. No, the solo. Okay, Richard, just to be clear, if it's LNLT solo, no, it is already being sold separately. Excuse me. Okay, if it is for the Heroes of the Bitter Harvest, it won't be sold separately because it will only be playable with Bitter Harvest the way it's designed. Okay, and that's why we're putting the cards in the game. Okay, and okay, we're going to go into that a little bit more, just so you know. What's this one? I don't want to say yes, I want to say no, because I really don't know. That's the truthful answer. Because we don't know if we're just going to reprint Normandy or we're just going to make something a little bit different that takes place in Normandy. We've discussed this many ways. There's a lot of material for Normandy already. We thought about making an upgrade kit, but when we asked how many people wanted, the numbers were so small, it didn't seem to make sense. I know there's always going to be somebody who wants to upgrade their old game from the new game, but it'll be all new artwork and there'll be new scenarios. It's already got, I think, 45 scenarios. So you're talking about adding all that solitaire in it. So we're just not sure, and I just don't want to say yes, we're going to do it, or no, we're not. And then I did that once, and I still hurt from that bruise. Okay, so I think I've answered everyone's questions. I don't think I've missed anything. If you do keep posting, we're going to advance on to the next subject, which is the solo. Okay. real quick, there's Bitter Harvest, Heroes of the Bitter Harvest, and Enemy at the Gates on the computer side is available now on Heroes. Rocking with Tactical Digital. You can get the Steam key from our personal store, or you can get it from Steam directly. Okay, let me turn off this banner here, guys.
Should point out Valor the 13th is also available for Heroes of the Motherland.
And Valor 13th, correct. And this is why you're on the show, buddy.
What? It's not because of my stunning good looks?
Yes, we can go with that. Hey, Jerry, I didn't realize that was you. Oh, someone did ask, and I think I missed it actually. Now that someone said about the shipping to England and Europe. The games will get, once we get them in, we put them on a pallet, and then we ship them to our contacts in. Well, I know Second Chance Games is doing it for us as of now for the UK, and I do not know what the distributor is, but I know Darren has lined somebody up in the EU, so you don't have to worry about that or more than whatever you guys get stuck with now. And we have someone in Canada. We do not have anybody in Australia. We've talked to one of the two game stores out there, but no one seems to be doing war games over there. But as of right now, those are the three main places that we're going to have in Canada, UK, and somewhere in Europe. Okay, so going on to the solo system now. Okay. This, which I think you guys have seen before, is the two maps. There's 4 of them, and Enemy at the Gates.
The problem is those two maps are backwards. They should be the other way, reversed.
It's
With I know, but the gamer in me, the 3 roads on one side need to be hooked up to the 3 roads on the other side. So
it's like having a second mom, guys. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to fix it, but yeah, sorry.
Okay, this is one of the maps in
Valor the 13th.
Valor the 13th.
Yep.
It's a Hell Assault map. Top of there has a little headquarters with some foxholes and prepared positions. Really did an excellent job. Again, guys, this is Devon's work as usual. This map may look a little bit familiar because it was somewhat used in
Dark July.
The main reason we used it because we had made some optional, which is in the Valor 13th, I believe, right?
Yep, those are the armor rules in there.
Armor rules, and we wanted open areas so you guys can get some stuff there. We changed some of the buildings around and stuff, but it is similar, so so no one can write us any nasty letters, guys. It was done and delivered because it was a place where the fight would have taken place, and we wanted to use that same area again. Okay, there's some more comments here. Yeah, and the scenarios in Valor 13th are pretty big in size. What's the map size again? 30.
Oh, 32 by 24 or something silly, obscene like that. It's the Dark July map is 6 of our normal maps put together. The hill map is like 4.5, 5 of our maps put together, roughly that size. And the scenarios have gotten just really, really, really big. I mean, two of the monster scenarios in there, I've got over 40 tanks total. So one of the reasons why we had to have a counter sheet with Valor the 13th, not only because we needed the admin markers for the new armor rules, but we needed a lot more Tiger tanks and a lot more T-34s to do the scenarios.
Yes. Somebody, yes, nice big maps for maneuvering. That is why Ron had asked the Ellen guys in the back burner. It's not in the back burner as much as we have added. Enemy at the Gates gives you a little bit of a Stalingrad. Actually, gives you quite a bit of Stalingrad. The thing that we talked about doing, which is in the works, but we got 1 or 2 projects ahead of it. Believe it or not, we have, for the sake, we're actually going to try. I know we're going to be sorry for saying this. Halloween to have the zombie Rockin' with Tactical which Devin and I really have pretty well worked out at this point.
Yeah, we've got it all up here. It's all up here. The counters are done. The maps are done. I'm not going to say why the maps were done so quickly. It's just putting everything to paper and start to play testing it. Now this is going to be a digital release only initially. We're not going to put this to print probably unless there's a really big demand, a really big response to it on digital. It is what it is. So, and I left it hanging when David had something in his mouth.
No, I'm trying to read the next question. So the Stalingrad game that we're going to do was going to be a monster Stalingrad game, with a much more, let's say, historical city map, not the geomorphic that you see. Wasn't going to be made to hook up to other games, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's still on the back burners. It's just there's not enough of me to go around, and there's not enough of David to go around. There's not enough of Blackwell to go around. If we had, probably 10 more guys working with us, then yeah, we could probably get Stalingrad out relatively quickly. But we have got a lot of projects between now and Stalingrad. Here's the Pegasus Bridge. Mike is working on Heroes of Kohima. Who's working on Overlord? Oh, I completely. This is why I hate doing these things sometimes. My brain just goes. Can't remember. But we've got Heroes of Goodwood, Operation Goodwood. We've got the Shanghai game. We've got Heroes of the Deep Desert. We still got Grenada we're working on. There's like 7 or 8 other tactical projects. Oh, and Space Infantry. Let's not forget that. Before we can get to Stalingrad. So Stalingrad, yes, that I do plan on that being my magnum opus, and yes, it is going to be historical maps, and that's we're just going to try to stuff as much Stalingrad goodness in that as possible. But it may be a couple of years before we can even start working on it with everything else we've got to work on before that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, with this new structure, you just see a lot more stuff roll out faster, but it's still eventually going to have to hit into development time. Not counting the other games that we haven't even announced to you guys.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
All right, so then I showed that's the map I showed. Okay, this is the map, not incorrectly connected of the same area. And just to let you know, the little circles here with the dots, those are the sewer entrances and exits, might I add.
Yep.
Okay, and here's the other map real quick, guys.
Yep.
And Mark Van Marshall, I don't know, I can't really zoom in on this well enough anymore for you, but I think he's one of the finest artists for drawing these maps for us. I don't know, I think I pointed this out a long time ago. If you look at Heroes Against the Red Star, you got to really zoom in, guys. You really got. He actually drew in graffiti on some of the building tops, and it's not just some generic stuff. He actually drew in graffiti. It was really well done.
Yeah, that's if you want to get a look at it, these maps, pick them up on digital, because we talked to Tom about being able to scroll the map in. 20 enters, yes, definitely.
Pretty interns.
Redheads, please. You really don't appreciate the work that Tom or Mark Van Marshall has done unless you actually get down and zoom in and just get down and look how close. I mean, I've seen some buildings in Bitter Harvest that, he had shingles that were off center and looked like they had torn off, and pieces of lumber sitting on top of buildings. It just, the detail he puts in is just phenomenal.
Okay, so guys, I'm going to turn off this. Okay. And now we're just going to talk about this. Okay, so let's get into it. Here's a bit of harvest. What have we done? I'm going to share screen. I know you're not really going to be able to read this as well as I would like, because it's the only way I know how to do this, actually. Okay, so let's see if this works. Share screen. Pick that screen. Okay. Now, the first thing I notice, it says companion book. one of the last changes we made was there will be a module book put up in the library. The module book will only have the module rules for Heroes of the Bit Harvest. And the reason for that is because it's really more for the digital players, because they don't get books or anything else. But the reason we call it a companion book, that's going to actually go in the game box. And we'll have all the rules that are just for that book. It is going to be the same companion book if you buy it spiral bound. And you're going to say, why would I buy that spiral bound if I'm buying the game? You don't have to. Okay. One of the things we're doing. Okay. The reason we do is because a lot of you guys during the pandemic, told us, we don't play on the tabletop and we got to buy these games and store them against, little apartments, wives complaining. So we made the companion book so you could buy this book, okay, download it or get a print copy. It's spiral bound in most cases, so it holds flat. And all you really need is that spiral bound book because it has all the scenarios, the module rules, and all the tables and charts you need to play virtually, which means Tabletop Simulator and Vassal. So it was a way to give you a way to kind of buy a Vassal digital, virtual, however word you want to use, board game. Okay, so with that said, that's what you're looking at. We've increased this when we've added the color coding that you see in the core rules, which also is for free download, so you don't have to buy the core rules either. But we also added this now to our table of contents. And I understand you can't read all these sections, and nor do I want to go through them all. I know one of the features, I wonder if I can blow this up? Let's see what happens when I do this. Oh, it does work. Okay, I know this is going to screw me somehow later, guys, so I'm just telling you now. Okay. There is this new weapon that Devin put in the game. Devin, you want to talk a little bit about this one?
Yeah, the Tachanka machine gun wagon. The Soviets lacked a lot of mobile assets at the beginning of the war. They didn't have much in the way of trucks. They didn't have much in the way of tanks. They didn't have much in the way of anything. So they did what the Soviets usually do, and they looked to what they did in the past. And the Tachanka machine gun wagon was something that was used during the Russian Civil War. Right there at the end of World War I. It was a way to get Maxim machine guns around on the battlefield and be able to support infantry easily. So basically, the Tachanka machine gun wagon is nothing more than 1, 2, 3, or 4 machine guns, depending on how crazy the Soviets wanted to get at the time, of Maxim machine guns on basically a horse-drawn wagon. During World War II, it was usually assigned more to mechanized forces because, all right, we don't have enough trucks to transport everything, but we got plenty of horses and wagons, so we're going to use horses and wagons to transport stuff around. It's basically it's a machine gun weapon team that has a higher movement rate than you see from any other weapon teams, and it uses, I think it's it uses road movement values. So it's a weapon team, but it's a vehicle and it's a weapon team. So I've always been fascinated by the Tachanka, and this was a chance for me to put it in, so I stuck it right in there.
All right. Now, I'm not going to go through everything here. I just wanted to go through a few NKVDs, unit breakdowns for that. If there's something, Deb, you want me to pause on, say so.
No, touching bases on the data cards real quick.
Oh, data cards. Here we go. Okay. I'm sure you guys have seen these already. I don't think they've ever been put into Rock and Roll Tactical yet. It's just been put into
World at War. Yeah.
World at War. These data cards are basically all the information on the counter. There should be one for each type of unit in the game. Okay. And what it's for is for those who don't have great eyes and are trying to read the counters. They can, if you have a Panther or you can keep the card to your side, and when it comes up, there's all your information. Okay, and it gives you your morale, your transport, all the stuff you need to know about the tank. It shows the counter front and back, so you can see what your range to hit and your penetration values are. Okay, there is also a card number which moves around. Okay, Debbie and I had a fun time with that.
Depending on the layout of the card. Yeah, Blackwell had to get a little bit creative with the layout of some of these because you're going to have a different layout between like a tank and an infantry just because, well, an infantry, you don't need the backside. For the tank, you need the backside because it's got the ordnance hit on it. And, it's got extra machine guns. So, yeah, a lot of the cards are laid out a little bit differently. So we had to get creative with where the numbering was.
Now, also, you may notice, guys, there's a blank spot here. I don't know if you can see my mouse on this, but right to the left of where it says range and hex, it's all blank. What we did here was we left it blank on purpose so you can put down if you're playing with 15 millimeters or 9 millimeters. You can adjust the ranges for those weaponry. So if it's inches or you want hexes, well, hexes are kind of already there. But if you're playing with a certain size, you want to have certain inches and all that, you can put it in there yourself. We did that in World War I. A lot of guys used it. I know Al Davis is a big miniature guy. His stuff is gorgeous. If you ever watched any of his screenshots, and it's a great way to kind of help aid those guys who want to play with miniatures and stuff. And it has the cards for them. Okay, this is just more than an ad. Now, what we did also now, I'm going to shrink this down again maybe, is we've made each section of the rulebook that's a change or maybe a different type of rulebook in the sense it's you can put a cover inside the rulebook. So this is the role-playing campaign we put in the game now. As you can see, there's 2 characters from each side, and the face is shaded out because that face that technically is supposed to be in there is you. Okay, you can make your own leaders, and you can basically play in the scenarios. We have found none of these scenarios are so, having an extra leader here is going to throw anything off. You notice there's no numbers on the leaders, and I will show you that why. All the tables you need to know are here. They're on a player aid card too. Okay, and as you run around the battlefield doing good or bad, you get positive and negative points. And I guess to really cut it down, every time you get a 10, you roll to see if any of your leadership ratings are improved or can diminish. You also can actually go into the negative is bad, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, negative is bad.
Okay. And you get a person leader skill. Let me see if I can switch over to something else. I think I may have to stop sharing for a second. I did upload this because I was anticipating this. Yes, here they are. Okay, what you do is when you make, I have to stop sharing. When you make, this comes in the game, and you can see there's one on each side. You're allowed to get special skills. You can lose special skills. You can never have a special skill that's held by somebody else in the game. So if let's just say you gain special skill number 1, pick a name, and in the scenario that you're playing next, that special skill is used, you can't use that special skill. If you have 3 special skills, you can select one, but you can't select one that's already in the game, and it keeps track of the scenarios, what your morale is, your leadership modifier. The movement is rolled for once, and that is your leader's movement for the rest of the game. It cannot increase or decrease. There's no gym, nothing like that. It is what it is. And then the next thing is, this is your log sheet, okay? Again, I'm going to try to blow this up. No, because it's not going to cooperate there. And basically, every time let's say destroy an aircraft or whatever the case is, you can mark off on here what you get. So if it's destroyed, you might want to put a D. If it's damaged, you may put an X, and if it's destroyed, you may want to put a circle or whatever, however you want to do it yourself. And then you add up all your points, you take away the negative points, you got your grand total, and then you would roll in the tables. Some scenarios, you're not getting enough points to necessarily roll, so it's not necessarily something you're going to be doing every turn. All right, let me just see if there's any questions. I don't see any questions. Yeah, we didn't call it an RPG because you're not necessarily, fighting the whole war. It's more of that's what we call an RPG. We gave it our own little name. It's, and you can make it a short, 4 campaign you can make it a 11 or 12 campaign.
12 scenario campaign, yeah.
So yes, I guess it's a campaign system, but it lets you add it. You don't have to play if you don't want to. And I always like options where people can decide how they want to do something. Okay, so I'm going to scroll this down to the next thing. Okay, and you know what? I'm going to bypass this for 1 second. And what were you going to say, Dev?
Well, I was going to say that this is a beefy manual. I mean, you take a look at it's over 100 pages. Our previous companions, 20, 30, maybe 40 pages. No, we have packed so much into this, and that's one of the reasons why we're offering it as a spiral bound, is because it is such a thick manual.
The other reason too, guys, is if you want to play the Battle Assistant, the RPC, the Solo Assistant, these things are all materials you need as far as the cards and the tables go, come in this book. So if you just want to play on Vassal by yourself, learning the game, you want to get some time in there before you play another person, if that is even something you want to do, you get the campaign book. So it comes in the box this way. That's why it's not part of the core rules, because there will be changes to this as the different games go on. Okay. The reason I'm going for the battle system before I explain the rest of it is this is very similar and taken from the battle generator. And again, the battle generator is made to be generic, kind of fit everything. All the cards are in it. None of that stuff is bad. It doesn't go away. This, again, we did this in a way to work with the new AEO assistant, which we'll explain the AEO part, which will be next. It's your force pools. We changed a little bit of the size around. We added a time and weather. Okay, so when the battle's taking place, and it's different because we had to encompass whether you're fighting Antarctica for some reason or you're fighting the Sahara for the other reason. All this different stuff, what time of year it was, and it was fine for what we did when we wanted. But now this is just taking place for Heroes at a Bit of Harvest and for Enemy at the Gates. That's what we're shooting for. And again, I know you really can't. Let me just see if I can. Does that help a little bit? You got the different weathers and hot and cold and the effects of them, the turn length. Another thing we did was the weather effects will affect how far your line of sight can be, maybe, okay, or vehicle movement, stuff like that. Turn lengths. Why do we add the turn lengths in there? Because if you're playing the battle generator, again, how many scenarios? Scenarios are kind of set. Hey, I got 1 turn left. Everyone can charge a machine gun because it's a victory hex. And so this is a way that you might end up with an extra turn or two and not realize it or not. And so it makes you play a little bit differently. And I do hope you guys like that. The map selection is just geared for this. And we tell you in the game, some maps you have to play this way and why. Stalingrad maps is a perfect example of Enemy of the Gates because of the 3 roads. We made a special map for that. And we do explain this in the rules. We go into this map placement. It's just for this game, how the maps are going to be placed. Okay. And we're kind of whipping through this because, again, get the game. It'll probably be much more explanatory. Victory hexes, how you pick them, how you remove them. And then there's points for allocations for artillery, how reinforcements can arrive, how many points you can buy. We had a lot of fun with this. Didn't win a lot of battles, though, but had a lot of fun.
Fun.
Yes. And then how you deploy in areas. Again, if you played the battle generator, you'll see this. It's similar, but there is enough differences that it's not the same. Purchasing units, the charts are the only way you can purchase units. In the battle generator, we had a generic system we made, as well as the charts. This will just be the charts. There will be no generic system there. And also we added, and we're going to go over this in a second, in the Solo Assistant, we added a way that you can generate Battlefield Fate cards. So you have action events and Battlefield Fate. Battlefield Fate cards are more of a generic, but not totally generic. It's generic for the game. Okay, and you can mix them into the AEO if you're playing a battle assistant game with the AEO, and based on how big these forces are, the battle you're playing, it modifies how many of these cards you can put into the AEO deck. And I don't think I can make this any bigger. Well, I guess I'm lying a lot here. Okay. And now I can. Okay. So the modifier is based on the size of battle. On a 5 or 6, it tells you how many cards you get to add. The modifier is added to based on the size. So the bigger the battle, the more likelihood you have more Battlefield Fate cards because you're usually playing a longer battle. Okay, so I'm going to go back and see what anyone has to say. I don't know what Ron's asking here. Do you?
I have no idea.
Okay, Ron, we're not following.
Maybe for the player campaign. I'm not sure.
He wrote it's RPC. He is IRT. So, but let me say this: if we reprinted Heroes of Normandy or something thereof, there would be an RPC in it, and there would be the battle assistant, and there would be the solo assistant cards with the customizations that we're talking about now.
And Bill was also asking about the size of the cards for the data cards. Those are tarot size, right? We made those. Or are they player card?
Cards right here. Yes, they
are.
Yeah,
that's for the solo, but I'm talking about the data cards.
You're gonna ask me.
I think they're playing card size. We might have made them tarot.
Yeah.
But I don't remember.
The not sure of us developer publisher answer is it's either regular or they are tarot size. I think they are regular size playing cards. Okay, I will be asked about the battle generation. Okay, we're not going to agenda it because we're customizing it, Bill, to match the new games going forward. If we reprint the older games, we already. Devin did fight me about it, but he agreed. Go back and modify that because it was designed to be generic. It was deliberately designed that way because we didn't want people to have to go out and buy your own 6 games, 6 different solo assistants, 6 different battle generators, which is how we initially started doing it. And we didn't feel it was efficient, and we didn't want to have any of you guys feel like, oh, I got to buy the one for each one, which is why we did it that way. So if you bought the battle generator, it'll work with every game that's out there. If you buy a new game that's not published yet, such as Heroes of the Bitter Harvest, you don't have to worry about buying it because it's already included. So that's it. And Bill, let me know what you think of that, Bill. I want to, you think that's great? You think that sucks? We should start weaving baskets. Let us know. Toxic Rat, how you doing, buddy? I heard.
That's Mike.
I overheard Overlord mention earlier. Okay, we were talking about Normandy. Someone asked us about reprinting it, and then asked us if we were going to update it. Ron, I think that's what you're talking about. If that's the case, then yes, you would find what was shown here in any new game or reprint going forward. As far as I can tell, for Lock and Load Tactical, this is the plan. And for those who are playing World at War 85, there's a solo assistant. We're doing the same idea. It's going to have solo setups in the rules and the scenarios, excuse me. It's going to have its own deck of cards for each game going forward with the different events and stuff that you see at. Different because it's different scale, but you get an idea. It's okay, Ron. We love you. Just don't do it again, buddy. Okay. Bill's happy with my answer. Teach me how to do that again so I can do that.
We need to do that more often.
Yeah, really. Okay, Gen Con is coming up, though. We've got 2 full events for World at War this year. Oh, really? Okay. Well, let us know what room and where. We'll post it on our page and let people know, and also in the World at War 85 group as well on Facebook. Now, +1 bill. What is asking earlier for those of us who know this is so. Okay, there again, Jerry. Just to make sure I'm explaining this well, the cards and stuff are geared towards this game. It's not geared to the whole solo. Okay. I'm sure if you took the cards, you probably could mix around and use them, in some way, but it's not designed like that, which is why they're included in it. So the cards you've got for all the old games will work fine, and it was designed that way. If we reprint Heroes of Normandy, for example, it will have the updated new, because we'll customize and make things just for those cards, such as the events and the Battlefield Fate cards and stuff like that for that battle time period, theater, pick your words there. So hopefully that answers that question for you. So there is no way to buy the solo system that comes inside Heroes of the Bitter Harvest separately, because I can't say you're going to use it. Okay, it's the same thing with the RPC and same thing with the Battle Rule system. And it's also why we renamed it, so people wouldn't be confused. So that was one of the things we did as well. Okay. Oh, here's some of the scenarios. I'm going to blow this down a little bit. I guess I'm going to be jumping a little bit here. I'm going to blow this up just so you can see. This is one of Devin's scenarios, I believe.
Yep.
Okay, actually.
Well, do you have anybody else designing scenarios right now?
I think you helped Keith is what happened.
I helped Sean.
Oh, that's what it was, Sean.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I know you helped somebody. See, somebody was helping somebody.
Keith's got a big enough crew, and I don't need the extra headache of having even more responsibility.
So this is the basic setup you guys are familiar with, okay? Stefan basically whipped us multiple times until we got some type of standardization going forward in this. And as you scroll, as we go down, notice I hate this. The hexagons are there, so it tells you what sections you're in, tells you what maps, scenarios, the victory conditions. We picked the pictures of the maps and how they should be oriented. God willing, we got it right. And then you'll see either this or an inversion of this, which is a white background with a black outline. That lets you know that this is the solitaire setup, okay? And it follows the same scenario, so you don't have to go flipping pages for a separate solitaire book. We did, for those who say, oh, why didn't you let us know? We did send pictures and asked everybody how they liked the layout before we finalized it. And we did take your feedback on it. Okay, so the first thing you're going to notice on the top, I'm going to make this big so it's going to be harder to read the whole thing, but at least you'll be able to see, is it tells you exactly what action event cards to use. Okay, the first, like say 43 says AEO Surge, that's the actual card number. Okay, and the title of it, Rally, okay, and what they are. Okay, and it tells you only 2 events have been resolved, remove and ignore any other events pulled from the rest of the game. So you may have, in this case, I think there's 4 action event cards. Okay, but we're telling you after 2 that are played and used, you ignore the rest of them.
It builds into the replayability and the randomness of it. When David was first talking to me about this and I started drinking heavily, the original plan was I was just going to lay down, all right, if you're going to be playing the Soviets on this side, these are their setup hexes. And then I stepped back and I looked at it, it's like, that doesn't give you any replayability. You always know where the setup is going to be. And at this point, we still hadn't even decided we were going to add in the action event cards yet. So I modified it a little bit. Scroll down a little bit so you can see the Soviet AEO.
Okay, hold on. Okay, how's that?
All right, so the entire setup for both sides, and we've done this for both sides in each scenario, they're broken down into groups. So Group 1 and Group 2. Group 1 is 2 squads and Lieutenant Makano, 1 DP-28, a machine gun. Group 2 is one squad. And then you will see you have those 2 groups, but then you're also given a certain number of negative contact markers. Now, all these markers look exactly the same on the back. It's a black background with white a white silhouette on it.
You know what?
The other side of it.
If you give me 1 second, Deb, I will move up to where we show the images for that. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Oh, I just want to point out one thing. We also tell you what type of cards to use. The posture is already decided for you. In the old system, you had to kind of decide what it was for yourself. And we'll explain the silver and gold star cards. So let me raise back up so you don't have to guess what Devin and I is talking about, or mostly Devin. Here, hold on. And I want to say, Sean has done a phenomenal job updating the play rate cards for how to do things. But Devin, I cannot put enough love on Devin for how he came up with this system for setting up.
Right there.
Yeah, I'm just looking. Okay, so this is the setup guide. Okay, and again, call out what the scenarios are. I'm not going to go back again. And down here is what Devin's talking about, I believe, Dev?
Yep, right there. So basically, all the solitaire counters, the front side of them is the black with the white silhouettes. Then you have two different types of backs to them: either white silhouette with black numbers, or white with black silhouettes. So if it is a silhouette and not a number, that's a negative contact. A group number is, well, obviously a group number, and we've got like 20 of these cards. So what you do is you find out how many groups there are that the AEO setup tells you to do. You pull out those group numbers, and it'll also tell you a certain number of negative contact markers to have. Typically, you have as many false contacts, negative contacts as you do groups. Sometimes you have a little bit more, sometimes you have a little bit less, depending on the scenario and my whimsical nature. And then you have a series of hexes where you place these counters face down at. Now, you're supposed to mix it. Once you pull out all the group markers and all the negative contact markers, you mix them all together, place them all face down, and then you will place them on the map in the hexes that I've indicated for you to set up. Now, what is this going to, well, okay, let me finish up my comment before I get too far ahead. After you get all the counters set in place, you then flip them over. If it's a group number, well, obviously you put that group in that hex. If it's a negative contact, you just remove it. Why did I do it this way? We wanted some randomization and replayability in the setup. I could have just gone, put this machine gun in this hex, put this tank in this hex. It was too boring to me. We wanted replayability, so I had to come up with this system. So there is a set number of hexes that you are setting up in, and those hexes don't change from scenario to scenario. However, you never know what group is going to be in said hex, or if there's even going to be anything in that hex at all. So every time you play a scenario, it's going to be different. The solitaire setup is going to be completely different. And sometimes there's multiple sets of groups. Like, for example, if you're fighting with infantry and armor in kind of a map that's got buildings on it, you might have one section for just the infantry. Well, tanks can't set up in buildings, so you're going to have another section for the armor setup and the anti-tank gun setup. And sometimes I decided, all right, I want two sets of groups. These guys are the front line. These guys are the reserves. Front line sets up in these hexes. Reserves set up in these hexes. Each scenario. And I would like to thank David for destroying my liver on this one with as much alcohol as I consumed for coming up with this. Each scenario has its own feel, and you may not notice it the first time or two you play it, but if you play the solo system, you play it enough, you're going to see the subtlety coming in with how we did the setup of this. Mostly, David said, I want it replayable. It's like, okay, I'll come up with something to make it replayable. And that's really what...
I just want to interrupt. He was not that nice or calm with his reply. Okay, guys. He was not that calm with his reply.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't. But it works. Now, the cool thing about this is, and this is something some of our playtesters found, is that they will use the AEO setup for their own side as well. So they'll set up the solitaire side, and then they'll use the AEO setup to set up their own forces, because, a lot of times commanders, and David has pointed this out several times, you don't have full control over everything, and sometimes units are not in position when the fight starts. So if you even want more randomness in the game, have the AEO set up both sides. So
it's not so much randomness as much as, when the shooting starts, you don't always have time to have everything perfectly where you want it, and so this is why, it really is why they started doing that, because I wish that machine gun was three hexes down, or and then the left side of the building instead of the right side of the building, and now you have to move it. And it's actually one of the reasons we changed that rule about when you can dismount and mount your weapons team, because that was one of the problems we found. And so there you go there. I do want to just address, where is she? Hey, Jerry, if we redo Heroes of Normandy and we put in the cards there, I don't think it would be, we're going to make it separately, because then someone's going to want the RPC separately, and someone will want the scenarios will have to be done differently, because you can't use it without the new scenarios. It's just too much of a cascade. So I'm not going to say no 100%, because we're just not there yet. I just don't see how that's going to be reasonable without printing 90% of a new game and trying to sell it up as an upgrade. So you'll save $10 and not get a box. I mean, that doesn't really seem to, make sense to me.
So yeah, if you could scroll back down to one of the solitaire scenario setups, so we'll go continue talking more about the how the solo scenarios work.
Before we go through it, let's just explain to them the card differences. I think that will make
okay, yeah,
a little bit more. And guys, again, if you throw up questions, we will answer them. So in the rule book now, it's similar. Again, we did change it to threat and battlefield situation because there are some changes. The one of the things is, I'm pointing to the screen if you can see me. Sorry, guys. There are die numbers on top. One's gray, one's tan, Soviet, German, Soviets. There is no, you can combine the two dice together. You can use a German for the Soviet. There's no real order. We just put it there. So when you wanted to put two cards down, you would see, you can say, okay, well, this is always going to be Germans. It's going to be Soviets. There you go. Okay, card numbers are there. And basically the intensity, which again, we're going to explain in a second. So you have what we call your AEO orders deck, okay? And has a gray band on top. I don't know if you can see. Okay. So, okay. You can you have a gray order on, gray band on top, okay? And these are what we call the general orders, okay? You're always going to be using these cards. We will stop and show a card, and, it's kind of, if it's within 1, 2, or 3 hexes in some cases, it'll explain to you what to do. So enter melee, overrun, if firepower is greater than target's P use, player's unit, or fire. It's an or, right? It's not do this in order. You can't overrun and melee at the same time. Dev.
Yeah, it's basically just how the regular solitaire system cards have been laid out. We've seen this. If you've seen the Lock and Load Tactical Solitaire system, you've seen the World at War, Nations of War. So it's the exact same layout. Most of the cards are actually the same. That at least
Sean has updated quite a bit of them.
Yeah, well, yes, he has.
The style is similar. A lot of the orders are the same, but there's a lot of subtle changes.
Yeah, we took this opportunity to go to Sean and ply him with much alcohol and saying, hey, we know there's some issues with these. Could you fix them and update the cards a little bit? Oh. So if you're familiar with the cards, the action or the orders cards, you're going to be able to slip right into it. We've colored them a little bit differently. We've reworked how reload to reshuffle the deck works. Instead of having the icon at the bottom of some of the cards now we have an actual reload card that the scenario will tell you how many of them to put in. Sometimes it's 2 reload cards, sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's all 6. And then when you pull one of these cards, you look at the conditions on it. Reload deck if the next card dice total is 7 or more, then place card in this card pile. So you flip the next card, and if the 2 dice in the upper right hand corner are 7 or more, then you reload the deck. Each of them have different conditions to let you know when you reshuffle deck. Now, when you get to the bottom of the deck, if you get through the entire deck without any of the without having any of the reloads, as soon as you play the last card, then you, of course, you reshuffle the entire deck. But this is a chance for the deck to get reshuffled while you're playing. And we did it this way instead of just having a flat dice number. Again, for a little bit more variability and a little bit more specific to this game.
Well, we also allowed it. It's not so much so it's a game, it's also a scenario. The object behind it was, first of all, you're going to notice there's no dice on these cards. So these cards will never throw the dice count off because there's no dice on them. Okay. The second thing is, if you want the deck not to be shuffled as much. And to give you an idea, when you're having more of a static battle, okay, going on, you don't want the deck reshuffled as much because you don't want, let's say a third of the cards got used, and it could be more aggressive, less aggressive. You're reloading the deck. You're not giving the chance for them to pop back up immediately again. But if we're reloading the deck a lot less, unless you run through the cards, there's a lot less chance of the cards you pick will obviously be popping up again. So you can actually take the flow of the battle by how many cards you put in there. And some other scenarios you may say, hey, use reload card 37 and 38. We can actually pick the cards now that we want you to put in the deck. Okay, just to be clear. So that was also for some of the thing. Okay, the action events. Okay.
This replaces the old random events table. And again,
if you look, that's Battlefield Fate. The Battlefield Fate does that.
They're the same thing almost.
No.
David and I are still arguing about this. We've got it worked out and it works. We just still argue about it. Regardless, these are special events that can happen in a game in each scenario. Now, there's 12 specific action event cards. Some of them are geared for both sides. Some of them are geared specifically for the Germans. Some are geared for the NKVD. Some of them are geared specifically for the guards units. And this is another one of the reasons why we wanted to add the solitaire system specific to this game. So we could make cards specifically for the actions during Case Blue, for the Germans, for the NKVD, for the Soviets. Before that, we really didn't have that. With the older solitaire system, it was kind of generic for everything, but it wasn't specific to anything. This deck is specific to actions of the Bitter Harvest. And like this one, this is a generic one. It's card 43, AEO Surge. If you pull this, then you follow the orders on it. And again, you'll notice it doesn't have dice numbers on it, so it doesn't disrupt the integrity of the deck because we have, what is it, 36 cards? It's 36 cards, and so the dice rolls, the 2 dice rolls in the upper right-hand corner aren't thrown off by any extra cards we thrown in. We just took the dice off this and the reloads. So for this one, AEO may play 2 order cards. This impulse, once used, place this card in the discard pile. The scenario will tell you which AEO cards to throw in. It's like one of the generic cards is a minefield card. Well, all right, you're not going to see any minefields when you're doing a meeting engagement with mechanized forces. It's probably just not going to happen. So we're not going to put that card in. We're going to put a different card in. And like David was saying, sometimes we may have 4 or 5 cards that are in the deck listed, but you'll only have 3 or 4 random events during the turn. I don't argue with the boss. No, okay, sure. Don't let David know that. I completely lost my train of thought. So we may have 5 cards listed, but there are only maybe 4 events that you're going to come across. Again, that kind of goes to a little bit replayability, and that also goes to randomness. If we just said, all right, put these 3 event cards in there, then you know you're going to be seeing those 3 event cards sometime during the game. If I'm saying, no, there's 5 cards in here, but the first 2 events are the only ones that count. Anything after that, you discard the event card. You don't know what the events are going to be. Now, I'm going to answer this question as the best I can. Why don't we have these events in 2-player games? Because
well, you do in a way. You can call them if you wanted to, but how you're using the deck. Yeah. And most of the stuff are the special rules or read a paragraph here. So you do have them as counters.
Yeah, for the events. Yeah.
It was just that it doesn't work well when you're playing against the AEO, and we can customize it a lot more detail with the cards as you can the paragraphs, but the AEO and the paragraphs don't work as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't work at all, really. All right.
Well, it does.
Also, one thing we want to tell you, there's also some of the cards will only have a Soviet star or a German cross, or in this case, it's both. And that is because only one side or the other can use effectively that particular card. So in other words, if it says pick 4 cards and you're only using 2, and the AEO is the German and it's only the Soviet, obviously it's a card that just gets discarded and keeps going. Okay, so it's also geared towards that. Okay, these are special action events. And you're gonna say, well, you have events, and they have special ones. What's special about it? It's like a restaurant with a blue plate special. It's got a blue star on it. Okay. We did this for one very simple reason. Once this game is out, 6 months from now, a year from now, 20 years from now, we might make another expansion for this. Okay. And how do you put special cards in a game that's already printed you don't have anymore? The way you do it is this. This allows us to tell you that in the scenario, Solitaire setup, to use these special event numbers, 97, 98, whatever they are, and then we put those special events in the actual scenario. Okay, so we can actually use these cards, keep the integrity of the deck, and still give you the same flavor for things that are not yet even designed. Okay, so we really put a lot of time and effort into that. Devin was pleased with this idea for me at that.
I was very happy with that.
And the Battlefield Fate cards, which are more generic, by the way, replaces the random events table. Okay?
Yes, this is a third set of random events cards that we have in the deck.
Okay, but it's a little different. These random events are designed more to be used with the battle assistant.
The battle
Can
generator.
you use them in the scenario? Yes, of course you can. And we may actually call for them, but they're not, I shouldn't say the word generic. They're set up to be just the way they are on the card, where the other one, we can actually make a card, print all the materials, and say, hey, this card is going to be used for scenario, whatever, in this battle. Where this one you can use with the battle assistant, or we can just say, hey, pull one of these cards randomly, or pull exactly card 55 and stick it in your deck. It really, guys, gives us a way to control it. And you know what it does too? If you design the scenarios, you can do the same thing. Because you can say use special event card number 1, or battlefield fate cards, etc. So it puts some power back in your guys' hands as well.
All these cards that get added, they're listed in each scenario setup. It'll tell you which battlefield action, any special actions, any battlefield fate cards. It's all listed in each scenario. Yes, I had to write for all of them.
Okay.
And again, why my liver hates David at this point.
His liver is quite happy. Okay, next thing for you guys. You have blue stripes and red stripe cards on top, okay? Basically, the blue is defensive, okay, and the red is offensive, okay? And if you remember, when I showed you the scenario, we showed you that the Germans, the posture was offensive, okay? And then it tells you, hey, use the silver and gold, and basically that's what this star on the bottom is that you'll see, okay? And sometimes you're going to use all of them, sometimes you use part of them, sometimes you use one and not the other, and it kind of creates a different AEO, I don't want to use the word leadership, but commander's aggressiveness. Okay, the gold stars tend to be more aggressive.
Much more aggressive, yes.
It has much more attack and much more advance and much more assault in. And the defensive ones, again, are more geared to help you defend something. You're not going to run out to shoot the truck, stuff like that. Let's see. Here's the red cards, and again, gold. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, but one of the things we were trying to figure out early when we decided we were going to do this is how do we increase the AI capability? And what we came up with was, well, if you're on the attack, you're going to be more aggressive. So let's make a set of cards that are more aggressive. And if you want a more of a challenge, stick the gold cards in. Well, that eventually morphed into, well, let's just say in some scenarios, the defender is going to be defending a lot more fanatically. So let's give him more gold cards to work with because that's more of a fanatical defense. And if there's a scenario that the attacker was more aggressive on, we'll give them the gold cards rather than the standard silver. So you will see a little bit of a different play style if you're playing with just a silver deck between that and if you're playing with a gold deck. So.
And also, if you play with a silver and gold deck, you're going to obviously, if you're just saying, hey, the AEO on the offensive is going to get silver and gold, realize you are increasing the amount of more cards that they have that's towards them. Okay, so it does help. Yes, and it should create what-if battles and everything else. Okay, just to answer that, there is, if you go to the Kickstarter page, click on the button that says late pledge, it should take you over to back a kit, and you should be able to purchase it if it's still active. It may be inactive now, or it's going to be inactive any day now because the games are shipping already from China to us, and that's when we close down the late pledge from them, and then it'll become a pre-order from on our site. All right, and this is the flow chart, guys. I'm not really going to go into that because it's pretty self-explanatory, but each card, what we did change. Hold on, I'm trying to get this to expand. Here we go. What we did change was each card is play rate card is numbered, okay, and it tells you what the card is going to be used for, okay, and obviously it's pretty simple. Off-map movement. What are you doing? And you just follow the flow chart. Sean put a lot of time and effort into this. I definitely think it's improved. The ones that apply to the genetic LNLT, we've already, again, have uploaded to people. We also put on the bottom of the card, so I don't know if you can see this, on the bottom left, guys, it tells you what's in the back of the card. So it tells you that off-road artillery is on the back of this card. So you don't have to keep flipping the card. Look at off-road artillery, and you have to keep flipping it. This was the solution we came up with, so you can just scan the card, and here it is. It's on the back of this card. Should, again, pick up play, pick up speed for what you're doing. I'll try to get some more cards. We also, I'm waiting for Devin to come back, and I want to make sure I don't get this wrong. I believe we also changed the way the AEO will do opportunity fire, but I'm going to wait for Devin to come back before I put my foot in my mouth, guys. We also added the optional rules that are in the rule book, such as hull down, okay, how you can use it with the AEO. Is there as well. Again, it's an optional rule. Don't use it if you don't want to. Okay. Guys, got any questions? Everyone's quiet. Either you're really happy or you no questions. Okay, so here's the solo cards again. Hey, Craig, nice to have you. Welcome aboard. Okay, so you see, again, Battlefield Fate cards are none for this particular scenario. Use all reload cards, all 6, and then there are only 2 events being used. Notice that on this example, the silver is defensive posture, and we're telling you just to use the silver cards. You're not going to be using the gold cards. All right.
All right, sorry about that.
Oh, hold on. Okay, I got a question for you, but I'm going to put this up. Where were you, Tim? Where were you earlier on? Come on. Doing the editing. Now, I think this is an older book. I don't think this is the one.
No, there's a couple of things that I've spotted that we added after the revision you're using.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Yes, Bill, the solo assistant cards, okay, not the LNLT solo cards, the solo assistant cards will come for each game. And the way you're going to tell is, here you go, buddy. On the back of, I'm going to try to show this. That's what it says in the back of the card. Actually, no, it doesn't. This was a preview. It actually says solo assistant, so I take that away. Take that back. These are all the cards. I don't know if you can, I'm really going to see much of them, but they're all here. Trying to make sure we didn't miss any cards. No, we didn't.
Yes, there's a reason why this is clocking in at about 8 pounds.
Yeah. Okay, and then we did change, if you remember, didn't we change the way the AEO does opportunity?
Op fire.
Okay.
Yep. This was a perfect example for Sean to kind of tweak and fix a lot of the stuff that he originally had written for the solitaire system, and just taking feedback that we've gotten from players over the years of what worked, what didn't work. There were some confusions about some things. This allowed Sean to go back in and fix and tweak those. One of those things was how the AEO does opportunity fire. So if you have the existing lock and load tactical system,
You know what?
how
I think I have the card for that, don't I, buddy?
you should have it, yeah.
All right,
If you are familiar with the lock and load tactical solitaire system, don't assume nothing has changed, because plenty has changed. It's little minor things. We've since we modified the rules that support weapon ordnance based support weapons can fire into buildings. Sean reflected that in the new solitaire charts. How op fireworks has changed. We've added in, well, it's not going to be in Bitter Harvest, how helicopters work, because we're working on Grenada for that. Yeah, there's a lot of little, I call them quality of life improvements. It's just fixing things that people had issues with.
Okay, here's the offensive opportunity fire. You will notice two on this. No, probably not until I blow it up more, but hold on. On the top left, if the rule reference is in brackets, it's in the core rules. Okay, if the rule reference number is in parentheses, it is in the module rules, or in this case, what we call now the companion.
Companion, yeah.
Oh, Tony, did I show you the scenario blown up? I think I forgot to do that. Sorry.
Yeah, we haven't gone back. I would like to go over that one last time, but yeah.
So basically, just to show you what it's very okay. What is happening now is, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Hold on. Okay, well, I'm going to use this one. This is the defensive fire one, but basically what happens is you go through all these checks, and it will tell you to do a check, okay, on how far the well, it's the type of ordnance you have. If it's in your head firepower, or if it's an ordnance from a tank or some other type of thing, what you do to modify what you need to roll to do a fire. So what it does now is, if the target's, if you're in squad and the guy's next to you, the chances of you firing, you get to add 3 to the dice roll, okay, automatically, because it's adjacent, okay, and I believe you need.
It's a 7+. It's actually right there in that. Scroll down just a little bit. Yeah, can. Yep.
Hold on, it's just annoying. There it is. Okay.
Yeah. Oh.
You see it? It's right there.
Yeah, but that doesn't. Yeah. So on the right-hand side, it says conduct an IFP OP fire check. If the result is 7+, see infantry firepower, OP fire check modifiers, fire infantry firepower. So basically, whenever you are running into a chance that a unit moves into a line of sight of a AEO, you're basically rolling every time to see if they're going to op fire. If it's a 7 or better, you're going to fire. However, it's always modified by range, and the range is going to be modified depending on if it's an infantry firepower weapon or if it's an ordnance weapon. We can't really say, if you're point blank, you get +3. You can't really do that with a tank, because a tank can fire, 24 hexes away, whereas a squad can usually only fire 4 or 6. So there are 2 different charts for the infantry and for the ordnance, and you can see it right there. Infantry OP fire modifiers. If +3 if it's adjacent, +2 if it's 2 to 3 hexes away, 0 if and -2 if it's 7 away. Whereas the ordnance goes on what the range band of the weapon is. So if it'll be a +2 if the target is in the weapon's short range, 0 if it's in the tank or the weapon's medium range, -2 if it's in the long range. So that was one issue that I think a lot of people had, was how the AEO did its op fire. I think in the original system, it just kind of was left up to the player to make that decision, and that didn't sit well with a lot of people. So we had to come up with a system to automate it, as it were. So.
Okay, I'm going to go for Tony. Hold on. I don't think there'll be anything more done in the generic charts, because Sean, we applied all the generic stuff first, and then applied the specialty stuff to this. And again, like the range charts and everything else is not in part of that rule book. So the solitaire, how to decide to do op fire is not there. Okay, because it was never part of the original system. So Mike, no. So there won't be. There might be a correction or something. If someone comes up with something that Sean thinks we can add or adjust, we will do it. But right now, the newest ones that are out there for download should, are improved and fixed up, or enhanced, I guess is the word I'll use for that. Okay, so what if there's a particular scenario that you show?
Any one of them's fine. Oh, actually, go to In the Footsteps of the Silk Road. It should be scenario 10.
Okay.
And yes, some of these bigger scenarios got really big with the inclusion of the solitaire setup. Just keep scrolling down. You're like on scenario 4.
Sorry, my hand's twitching. No. Okay. I forgot what was the name. What am I even looking for?
In the Footsteps of the Silk Road. You're not there yet. Should be the next one.
Okay,
Yep.
here we go.
There you go.
So what do you want me to show?
Just go straight down to the Soviet AEO setup.
Oh.
Yep, right there. And if you could zoom in a little bit. Okay, so let's just go through this a little bit. Solitaire cards, action events. As a basic rule of thumb, the larger the scenario, the more events you're going to have in it. I don't have any set rules that if it's X amount of units, you get X amount of random events. It's just more. The bigger scenarios are going to have a lot more random events. Okay, so for this one, you have card 44, 49, 51, 52, 97. That is that scenario special event. That's what David was talking about earlier. There's not many scenarios that have this, but it is there for future references. We have scenario event 1. And then you can see once 3 events have been resolved, remove and ignore any other events for the rest of the game, even though there is 44, 49, 51, 52 listed. So there are 4 random events in it, but only 3 events can be resolved. Now, card 97, special event 1, when card 97 is pulled, refer to scenario special rule 3. Okay, so that tells you when you pull 97, that you have to refer to scenario special rule 3. We'll scroll down to that. Reload. Randomly select 3 reload cards to include. So we're not using all 6. We're not using specific ones. It's just random. Just you choose 3 random reload cards, throw them into the deck. Battlefield Fate, none for this one. Posture, and we're seeing something new with this one. Defensive, use all gold star cards. So the Soviets in this one are going to be a little bit more fanatical on the defense, because we're including the gold star cards. Now, if you were to play the scenario with just silver cards, you probably will notice. You will probably notice the difference. And then right next, set up the following groups in the following hexes. So it's got a listing of all those hexes that is going to take a counter. Now, like I said, that is not going to change every scenario. What's in each one of those hexes is going to change. So as you can see, we've got 7 negative contact markers. So you're going to pull out 7 negative contacts, and then there's 7 groups. So you're going to take group 1, group 2, you're going to mix them all together, place them all face down, and you will notice, and Stefan and I went back and forth about this because I made several mistakes, there should be only 14 places to put 14 hexes listed under the setup hexes. Once you get them all set up, you just turn them over. If it's a group number, you put the group there. If it's a negative contact, you just remove it. So go ahead and scroll down a little bit more.
Hey, can you explain how the map number? I got the map numbers on it. 79-C.
Okay. So 79, the first number is the actual map number itself. C6 is column C hex number 6. It's basically the hex numerator. So map 79 hex C6, map 79 hex E6, map 79 I7, map 79 yada yada yada, 93, 83. Just depending on. That's the standard lock and load tactical nomenclature, how we identify hexes. It's been that way forever, but yeah, so in case someone didn't catch that, that's how that's laid out. So if you want to go ahead and scroll down some more. So here's the German AEO, and as we notice, use all silver star cards. Now, the AEO cards, the random cards, are set for both sides. You don't have to make any changes. If you pull a card, that sometimes the card will be specific, like if it's a guards card. If you're playing against the German AEO, you pull the guards card. Well, you're not going to be able to play it because you're playing as the guards, not the AEO. So you just, you junk it. But so for this one, okay, this is all Silver Star cards. Now, the Germans work a little bit differently. Germans are entering from off map. So you have all the different groups, but as you can see right there, as each group is pulled to enter the board, and that'll come from the AEO if you're playing against the Germans, roll on the following chart to see what hex they will enter. And, roll, okay, I say group 6 is coming on board, and we've got, we roll a 3. So they'll enter at hex 79H1. Sometimes it's only 6 hexes. Sometimes it's 12 hexes, and a couple of bigger scenarios has upwards of 18 hexes that they could possibly enter on. So it all depends on the size of the scenario. And I will say a lot of this setup is, you're playing against me. I was the one that designed it. This is my setups. This is how I would do my setups. Are they the most optimal? Sometimes, nah, but they can be fun. Okay, and then we have the solitaire scenario special rules, which if you're playing against the AEO, these scenario special rules need to be observed. In addition to the normal special rules that the scenario may list. But as we saw from the card earlier, the special scenarios, if you pull this card 97, whatever it was, read scenario special rule 3. Well, this is what happens. So if you pull that card, commander of the AEO forces makes an impassioned speech to his men, driving them to do necessary heights of courage and self-sacrifice to defeat the enemy. Immediately make a rally attempt for all shaken AE units that are not stacked with the leader or hero. Then you remove this card from play. It's just something to put a little more flavor into the game, give you a little bit more randomness. Well, not randomness, replayability. It's just something fun. So and I was going to have David scroll down a little bit more because as far as I can remember, that's the end of that scenario. So let me flip to let's see.
I'm here. Hold
Yep.
on. I am scrolling down some more. Oh, there's nothing to scroll down to.
Yep, that was the end of the scenario. So that is basically how a solitaire scenario is laid out. You've got you've got what random event cards, action event cards you're going to put into the deck, what reload cards you're going to be putting into the deck, what the setup locations are, what the groups are. I mean, it's I don't think I missed anything when I was putting these together.
I should hope not at this point.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, because Stefan would have smacked me or quite soundly, and he did quite often. So, but yeah, I don't. That's all really I have to say about the solitaire system and the solitaire setup. Anyways,
and all the stuff can be played in Tabletop Simulator, and
yes,
because the stuff will be here.
Yeah. The solitaire cards are already in the Tabletop Simulator module. All the counters for the solitaire counters are in. Yeah, it's already all on Tabletop Simulator. The one scenario that's added has got the solitaire setup rules in it as well, or the solitaire scenario setup in it. So if you want to give it a try, the solitaire stuff is already in the TTS module.
Now the rules are not there yet, so you're going to have to kind of wing it until the game is released. But
the charts are there, the cards are there, the counters are there. Yeah.
All right, guys. Anyone have any questions for us? Can you remind me, does Bitter Harvest come with a digital version? You mean the board game come with a digital version?
No, the game found. It doesn't come with the Bitter Harvest digital version key, but it does come with the base Lock and Load Tactical digital key. That was one of the game found. That was one of the backer rewards, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so you're not going to get the Bitter Harvest one specifically, but we are giving you the key for the base digital that will allow you to buy whatever.
Actually, that was for the early birds. It was for people.
Oh, was that for the early birds? Okay.
The GameFound has a way that if before the thing is open, let's just say we get approval for Friday to release to start the GameFound for, let's just say World of War 5, okay, Blood and Fury. We could say, hey, everybody who clicks that beforehand, that they want to be notified when it goes live, we can then offer a free something. In the case we offered a free Lock on the Tactical key for the base game, code game. So that won't apply. That won't apply now.
Right.
Okay.
Well, we're coming down to the end. You may want to get the question in now.
Yeah. Do you have a go live date for Blood and Fury? We're waiting for. We mentioned this earlier. We're waiting for Game Founders to give us a thumbs up, and as soon as we know what that date is and we're ready to go, we will let you guys know. Of course, give you a few days. Plus, if you go to our store, there is a place on pre-orders that lets you be notified, and we will write an email and it'll go out to everybody. Hey, it's going to be starting this date, and then I think on the day it actually releases, we'll send another email, I believe.
And as far as shipping is concerned, I'm going to try to do what I did when World at War 85 Storm and the Gap came through. If the ship stops off in Tacoma, I'll run down and get a picture of the ship, just because that part used to be part of some of my old stomping grounds, so I know the area pretty well. And just to let everybody know, hey, the ship of the games are here. And that was just kind of a fun thing I did when they came through with Storming the Gap. We don't know, we have no idea what ships Point Blank or Bit of Harvest are going to be coming on. We don't know if they're going to be going through Los Angeles. We don't know where they're going to be going through. But if for some reason they come through Seattle or Tacoma, I will get pictures of the ship and try to sneak on board and get early copies.
I'm hoping to get an actual way for you guys to track the ship and see where it is in the Pacific, or if it sinks or whatever the case may be. But I don't know if that's going to be possible yet. I'm really going for speed and priority, and that may not allow that, just so you know. But I don't know yet, so either way. So let me take off the screen here. Well, I do think I have something else we can show them. Hold on. Let's see. This is the new Turn Record card. Okay. And you notice that we put on top there, I believe also, don't think this is the newest one, because I think we put on there a tracker for how many, it's a counter. For Solitaire, when you're only allowed to use 2 events.
That's a counter. That's a counter.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, if you're playing Solitaire, it helps you track rally phase, impulses, passes, and you can flip a counter back and forth. It just makes it a little easier for you to track. Oh, someone has a question.
Ah, there you go.
All right. Well, Craig, if you need something or any assistance we can give you, let us know. Drop us an email, messenger us on Facebook, and we're always looking to help guys out here doing that. Okay. Technically, there shouldn't be any differences. I found a lot of line of sight differences. It could be, again, understand that when you play the board game, you're using a string or a laser pointer or something, so you go from dot to dot. But on the computer, it's going pixel to pixel. Okay? So it's very possible what technically should be a block line of sight or clear line of sight may not be as easy to see on the board game, believe it or not, because it's not going down to a pixel size.
Well, and honestly, I'll be honest about this as well. There are mistakes in the digital version when it comes to sometimes, because the way Tom has to lay out the maps, he has this hidden mask that you can't see, and that he actually has to write on their wall, brush, HC building. He has to do that for every instance of piece of terrain on there. Sometimes he misses them, because I've seen these maps before and they are just littered with text. So every once in a while, there might be a hex that gets through that, he forgot to identify the wall as a wall. So you'll be able to get your line of sight through it. If you run into something that you think is a possible line of sight issue, just hit F3 to report it to Tom. Tom knows he's missed some. There's been plenty that's been put into him. It's just the digital is as good as it is programmed to be, and sometimes it's not programmed. As wonderful of a job as Tom does, now don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Tom's work. There's just so much that only one person can do, and sometimes he misses things. So.
Okay. Okay. Go with Jay here. So for UK backup export over 5, then we pay game fund for shipping and VAT, but not for import taxes.
He finishes it a couple posts down.
All right.
He had a big question.
That should be correct. It says it's, I think it's shipping friendly, or it says something friendly on the actual bottom of the game found page. What areas are friendly? Friendly means you shouldn't, we're shipping it from within inside your country / zone of influence there. And so that makes sense, hopefully. All right, hold on. Yeah. Oh, okay, great. Okay, and then Bill.
Send them to Tom.
Yeah, I would send them to Tom, or post it and let Stefan verify it's an error. But yeah, F3 sends an email and information directly
and the current save file.
Yeah, and the current save file too, so you can look at it. Dave, it doesn't have a date yet, but I would expect in the next 2 weeks. Okay, I'm not promising. With Tom, I think Tom had only 2 more scenarios to go.
Yeah, Day of Heroes is proving to be a little bit more difficult because it uses the squares instead of hexes, and that has proven to be difficult to program some things.
Yeah, the squares wasn't so bad. It's the convoying.
Yeah, how the convoy. Well, there were also some of the squares that had the roads going through in a building hex, and the lock and load tactical system doesn't deal with that real well because, well, we don't have any like that. So.
Oh, okay. Someone's asking this. Why did we change? Okay, the core rules were the core rules. Apparently, some guys didn't understand why it was just called core rules and then it was called handbook. It comes down to this: the regular full 300-page rulebook is called the Officers Edition. And the reason I called it the Officers Edition, because some of you guys has had a real hard time why we didn't name it something. Was it less or was it more? So we called it Officer. Usually Officer means something bigger, better, elite. Okay. So anyway, it's called the Officers Edition. It has all the files built into it that are the starter kits. It's got maps and the counters. Now you have to either photocopy them or print them out and cut them out, and you're building your own little player game there. But if somebody didn't know if they wanted to spend money, that's why it's there. Now there is just a starter kit that you can download, okay, and it does have the base rules in it. But we put it inside the Officers Edition. It does have also the narrative for infantry combat and play, and ordnance and tanks. And what else is on there? Is that it?
There might be one other thing.
Just so you know, it's like an extra 80 pages, okay? So it's not just like, hey, move the tank here. It really spells out exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you're doing it. It's kind of like if your friend sat down to teach you how to play the game you didn't know, and he's explaining to you. That's what those narratives are. Yep. The narratives are available separately. They're on the library, so you can get them as one book, and you can get them separately. Why do we do that? Very simply, some guys just want to take one whole book, print it out, go to Kinko's, wherever place you like, Staples, and have everything. Other people want the bare basics. And so, of course, if you've already been playing this for years, you don't need the narrative necessarily, and you don't need the starter kit for sure, and whatever else we're forgetting that we know is in there. So the handbook is basically just the rules. The latest revision is 73. It is already up on the library, and it's like I said, there was a few minor things that got changed in the narrative that were either wrong or became wrong, as well as those 2 rules Devin and I, Paul, explained earlier.
We already do have one person working on Heroes of Kohima, the British versus the Japanese, as the Japanese were trying to push into India. That one, that's going to be a 9 mapper. That's kind of a quasi historic map that Mike is that Mike who's doing that?
Mike Nagel, yes.
Yeah, Mike Nagel. Yeah. Sorry, I'm horrible with names. He's kind of doing what Keith did with the Frankfurt map, is that he is taking the area and doing it historically, but also doing it in an isomorphic way, so you can take the maps and use them with anybody else. So that, I thought that was a really cool idea that he was doing for that. And that's going to have like 8 or 12 scenarios. We're still working on that. Not anytime this year, but yes, we definitely are interested in PTO stuff.
Okay. Oh, you know what? You can tell people this. I'm going to tell you right now. There is a sale going on. I'm putting down, I think it's 30% off. It's a new thing. And the code, which I'm putting in right now, I'll put it on the pen in 1 second, gentlemen. I do not believe it needs to be all in caps, but just so you know, I believe it's. There you go. So, guys, it's Freedom 22. Okay, it ends at the end of the month. Oh, it's actually July, not June. It helps. Sorry, guys.
And isn't it additional 30%, not 3%?
I don't know what you're talking about. It's just 30.
I could have seen it wrong.
No. See, I would have had more of this stuff done, but my wife decided after church it was a good time to go to Costco's.
Oh, yeah. Wonderful.
Trip with my wife. My wife believes that if the truck can carry it, she should buy it. Okay, and then to add insult injury, my sister was with us, and she's apparently part of that club too. And luckily she didn't get left at Costco's because we had still had room for her. Okay, so anyway, there is that, and I'm gonna leave that up there for a second for you guys. Hey, we enjoy talking to you guys. And like I said, we don't talk a lot. We're not like doing a weekly show because
real life.
Yeah, it's not just real life. It's how much stuff do you think we do, guys? We've been preparing this particular thing to talk about the solid because a lot of people have asked. And, it is different. What is different? Why is it different? Hopefully we've answered that. Oh, thank you very much. I do appreciate that. We do appreciate that. We haven't told you yet, in case you haven't noticed. Again, Zach has joined our team. He's basically our live magazine editor. He's writing lots of articles. If you go to just www.lnlpublishing.com, you're going to get a new menu, and it shows you links to little icons that show you where to go for the
Line of Fire
store, and there's also a Line of Fire online magazine. So if you remember the good old days, Line of Fire, and we had the magazine, now we're actually doing it just online, and Bill's writing articles. People are making scenarios. You will be seeing free scenarios that will be popping up to be downloaded. And stuff like that. And we're working on a game center to help find opponents to play online and stuff. It just isn't live yet, but it's coming. Okay. Yeah, the artwork for making the maps is we're trying to make the maps look as good as the ones that you actually see printed. And I think if the map maker works, we're going to start with Normandy. So it's going to have to be something that you're going to have to get for each module, because there's no way to make a generic one that's reasonable at all. Yeah, listen, I don't mind questions. Okay. I get more annoyed, and I think I can say this for Devin and for Stefan. people are yelling at us because, oh, you printed the map and I printed I paid to print my manual. Guys, it says a living rulebook. It's not like we're taking a rulebook, throwing all the rules out, making tons of new rules and everything else. We're updating things that you guys have told us we either had a typo, we got the rule wrong, hey, there's a problem here. And we're not doing this every other day. I mean, it's probably been two years since we did a revision, I believe. Okay, now maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's 18 months, but the whole purpose is the living rules. We're going to update them when we find them. The whole reason we're doing it this way, the rules are free. And really the only people complaining are the people who download it and want to print it, which I'm completely for, which is why we make them a free download. You do not have to buy this game before looking at most of our rule books and deciding that you like the way we write, you don't like the way we write, etc. I mean, there was a typo in the dedication and someone's complaining about how awful our editors are because we left apostrophe S out of a person's name in the dedication. Now, it's wrong, our bad. We're not saying it shouldn't be, and we did correct it, by the way. Okay, but in the substance of the gameplay, it's not. Hey, no problem, Jerry. And yeah, like I said, we should be getting, okay, we're going to end up with this. We should be getting in the next, I'll say about 30 days, maybe 45 days, the prototype kits. And they're going to go to 1 or 2 people after we make sure the prototypes are acceptable. I expect it'll be a lot faster this time than with Point Blank, only because the printer and I are getting our groove together. And we'll let people, do what we did with Point Blank. Try it, play it, get to see it live. Plus, I believe Devin or Tony or Devin and somebody else are going to play the game online.
That's the plan.
Okay. Rich is sneaking in here with a question. What is it? Sorry if I repeat question. It hasn't started pre-order yet because we're waiting for GameFound. So you haven't missed anything. It just hasn't started yet. As soon as it starts, we will post. We will say something, but keep kept informed.
We're just waiting on GameFound to give us the approval for the backer or the late backer kit.
Okay, guys. Well, we're on 2 hours and 12 minutes. That's usually Devin's witching time in mine. Okay. And hey, we want to tell you guys, keep safe. Really great to hear from you. Send us questions. We do answer them. Stefan's great with answering real questions on the Facebook group. And just God bless you. And until next time. Okay, this is where Devin waves.
Well, that is all you have for this episode. Keep gaming, and may God bless you and keep you until next time. On the air is a Lock and Load Publishing production.